Lisa, Melissa, and Rory. I'm so glad that you were able to join me today to discuss the new challenge that we're facing in public involvement, which is virtual public meetings or virtual stakeholder meetings. And there's so much to consider when you're starting to plan one of these virtual meetings for, your client agencies. And so I guess I really just want to start by asking Melissa first, how do you even start to plan one of these?
Yeah, thanks, Brittany. Generally speaking, I think simpler is better, but your audience and meeting goals can determine the tools that you need to make your meeting a success. For example, for a recent design workshop we did, we needed to recreate the synergy and idea generation that a physical workshop has. Everyone was already familiar with Zoom, so that was a great base tool to start with. We then added Zoom rooms and some design tools, and we broke into smaller groups to recreate that workshop experience. Now, this solution was successful because it was a smaller group of design professionals that were familiar with the tools, whereas a tool like live Facebook streaming can reach a larger audience and can be more effective for public information versus public engagement.
Great. Yeah, that's such an important piece to consider is really the output versus the engagement that could be happening in a two-way dialogue. Rory, I know you've been doing a lot of public engagement outreach up in Northeast with a large project you have going there. How did you engage the public when you had to shift all of your strategies to accommodate the COVID-19 stay-at-home orders?
Yeah, absolutely. And Melissa makes a fantastic point about public information versus public engagement. I mean, for most of our public meetings, we're trying to engage, we're trying to get the stakeholder to participate in our meeting, right? So for us, on a large infrastructure project that we have in Southern Connecticut for the Connecticut DOT, we had to quickly move from an in-person public meeting, and we had to pivot to full online virtual meeting. And it happened to be the very first time the client CT DOT had ever done a public online public meeting. So going back to what Melissa said about planning, we had to make sure the client was comfortable with the platform that we were going to use. We can all agree as practitioners with the rehearse, and rehearse and rehearse and rehearse. But what we did, we dipped into our toolkit, our public information toolkit, and we used the traditional tools that we have with, some of the new online exciting tools that we have. And what do I mean by that is, we created a robust advertising plan. We used Facebook and other social media advertising groups to get our word out online, but also we used direct mailers because what the client wanted was a very targeted stakeholder group to attend the meeting. We did that. We created a dedicated online web page, which we hosted on our website, where we had our meeting materials, our online live video, and we also provided the opportunity for those targeted stakeholders. If they wanted the printed materials, we would mail them, because believe it or not, some people prefer that tangible printed document while they're listening to a meeting. So the old and the new is something that we should all remember. Now, during the actual online meeting, we had multiple presenters to keep it more active, engaging, and we also had a relatively short presentation to allot a good amount of time for questions and answers. And in hindsight, we had a tremendous amount of questions during our live meeting. And if there's anything that we can take away from the actual online Q&A is, we wish we could have provided more time for that Q&A.
Yeah, Rory, I'm actually going to jump in there because I can't agree more. Everyone is bringing up phenomenal best practices I think we've learned as a group across the country. And most specifically, that reserving time on the agenda to hear from the participants who are coming to the meetings is something that I think with the participation numbers that we've been seeing increase during the online opportunities, people are staying home. They may have more flexible schedules to where they're able to join us at different times of the day. And I know a lot of our meetings are being held at more than one time during the day. And so if the goal of the meeting is to hear directly from participants and to respond to them in real time, it's pivotal that you mention we keep a short presentation and allocate that time for that dialogue. And in addition to that, we're getting a lot more activity in chat pods or question and answer dialogue boxes because we see folks being so comfortable submitting their questions that way that we're seeing an increase in activity there. And again, just making sure if we're going to respond to those on the meeting, or if we can't get to all of them, making sure that there's a thought process to how we will make those available after the meeting to anyone and everybody who's interested in getting caught up. And the other thing I want to just also mention is, we touched on accessibility and making sure that we are promoting our meeting to various audiences and folks who may just be dialing in only. It's important to make sure that we have a toll-free phone number for them to participate, and that we also reserve space for them if they aren't able to chat and engage with us that way. That may mean something like raising your hand, for instance, by hitting *9 in your Zoom platform, so that the folks who have dialed in are given an opportunity to voice their concerns or their questions and get those resolved in the meeting as well.
Well, these were all really excellent points. I truly appreciate each of you joining me here today so that we could talk about the virtual public meetings that we've been experiencing and some of the good lessons learned to share out. So thanks for being here.
Anytime.
Thanks so much, Brittany.
Thank you.